we will be moving on to the Q&As. Does the panel think that banks are well prepared for a black swan event which cannot be described?
Listen, if we say what does it mean being well prepared, there is a topic of resilience and a topic of agility. Resilience is for the first period of the crisis, making sure that systems continue to run and operations are properly executed. I've not heard that payment systems have dropped or of any issue in this COVID crisis. So I would say definitively. They are strong enough to support a crisis, but then you need agility to adapt to a new way of working, new behaviors, new customer demand. There, we've seen lots of efforts and personal involvement and commitment in making things happen.
And Cindy, I'm sure that you're going to agree with the resilience piece. And I'm confident that HSBC is very agile, but just in terms of your own view, I mean, you feel that there is that resilience within the banking sector?
I think a true black swan event probably going to be very difficult to prepare for, simply because we don't know what to expect, right? And based on Mr. Talley's definition, the first attribute of a black swan event is that it should be an outlier, so nothing in the past can convincingly point to this possibility. But I think, as you pointed out earlier, Joshua, COVID-19 is not really a black swan event, and I agree with that. There was SARS, there was swine flu, and there have been lots of white papers on global pandemics. So an event like COVID-19 could have been predicted, I think. And we have seen many companies, including ourselves and HSBC, have been able to adapt quite quickly and help our clients and societies that we operate in to get through this crisis. I think the relationship that we have with our clients make a big difference in this kind of situation, because we are able to understand the client's needs, able to connect with them quickly, and what we can do to help. I think the long-term investment that we have made in technology, both for internal use and for our clients, have allowed us to provide the support that our client needs.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's difficult to predict. However, I would say one thing. I remember watching a video not that long ago. Peter, it was your boss, Bill Gates, was speaking, and he was predicting exactly that this is what the next event was going to be, that we needed to watch out for, a coronavirus.
Yeah, so I mean, exactly the point that Cindy made. I think the whole premise here, and as you quoted at the very outset of this, according to Nassim Taleb, the author of that book, The Black Swan, it is just the utterly unpredictable. That said, the banks are in much better shape now than, say, 10 years ago. So let us comment. There has not been a single problem with any payment system throughout any of this. And the banks go through intensive stress tests all along since the last financial crisis. So the issue for this now, this COVID thing, is it's other parts of the economy unexpected, be it hospitality, travel. I mean, it's not, the problem is not where you would think it would be. So that's just the general comment. I think the banks have done their stress tests and are liquid and in actually quite good shape.
Okay, next question. There are certainly loads of useful tools for working capital and cash management, but these are mainly used by and offered to big multinational corporates. What's out there? What are the tools that are available for the mid-caps, and are we offering the same depth of functionality, for instance, that a big multinational corporate might get from liquidity management? Are we offering similar functionality to mid-caps and SMEs?
The technology that we have built for our clients is accessible by all our clients, regardless their size. And obviously there are different standing of services provided by the banks, but tools is the same, because that really allows treasurers of big companies or small companies to establish the visibility and be able to move money and make best use of the cash they have in the account. And that need is pretty consistent whether the company is large or small or medium. And so I think, from a technology standpoint, there's certainly, I don't think there's any differentiation from HSBC's perspective, and we built a tool to serve everyone.
I think it's obvious and agreed that SMEs are less prepared to digital transformation than larger institutions. Still a lot of manual processes, still a lot of paper checks in the US, UK, France, those places. When it comes to banking services and cash management, I believe some of the requirements are similar, but there is one for simplicity also that comes on top. SMEs cannot afford a treasurer, cannot afford an expert in liquidity management. So they expect services to come at a fingertip, very simple. And I would like to mention that in this area, there are a few fintechs that are innovative, that have designed their solution for this market to ease the access to liquidity management services.
I was going to add that HSBC is one of the key banking service provider in many of the markets here, including in UK and obviously in Asia as well. So we have lots of middle and small size companies that we have been serving for many years, and we're very aware of all the fintechs that are coming into the what is seen as traditional banking space. And hence, I mentioned earlier in our exchanges that we have placed huge amount of investment in technology to make sure that our tools and services can be easily accessed by companies of different sizes. There may be different services that they choose to use, but the way that they access those chosen services should be quite consistent.
I think the old model that probably we all grew up with, that you do the innovation for the very big Unilever multinational, and then it maybe trickles down. I mean, that model is gone. For one thing, exactly, and HSBC is a great case in point. Huge, very important franchise of small, medium-sized enterprises. And guess what? The technology, even around cash flow forecasting, around liquidity management, around all these things, information, real-time information, card acquiring, all these things are now, there's a huge innovation going on in that segment, and it's about time. And I think everybody will benefit from it. I think even the challenger banks even no longer sit in fear of the big banks. They also are on modern technology. It's a cloud-first strategy potentially, but it's also because that's how to do things in a very agile way, and that's just permeating everything in the economy.
Yeah. So Cindy, there's a question here that's been asked for you, and it reads as follows: which product has been the most in demand during COVID?
Yeah, sure. I mean, certainly from a liquidity standpoint, probably two things that we see. One is the access to data. How do I quickly establish visibility where my cash is, in what location, where can I move the money from, and in what countries or accounts do I have shortfall, and where can I move the money from to cover that shortfall. So a lot of clients asked about the access to data through our liquidity management portal that gives client a holistic view of their cash balances across different geographies. And we see a lot more clients using those tools, especially during the first few months of the pandemic. We also see clients using liquidity services like cash concentration. They want to be able to concentrate cash in certain locations and be able to move them as and when that's needed. So yeah, I think that kind of tend to be what we saw at the beginning of the pandemic. Things have slowly stabilized, and people start to focus more on, okay, going forward, based on what I've seen, how do I better utilize the tools that I have access now, and how do I better plan for my cash management, liquidity management going forward?
Christophe, do you agree? Is it all about the data identifying where the money is for a corporate treasurer, and understanding, therefore, how he or she can use that money?
Yes, the data is the quality of the data, but also the tool to access it. We've seen with PSD2, Second Payment Services Directive, a number of initiatives floating for all market segments to enable customers have faster and broader access to transactions and balances in their different accounts across banks and geographies. So data, agree, it's key, but the instruments to access it is also very, very relevant.
In terms of cash flow forecasting, which new patterns in cash flow structures could you foresee in the post-COVID recovery phase? Do you expect cash flow patterns which would be unique and unprecedented? So I guess that possibly means that one of the things that Cindy, you described earlier on was the large drawdowns that were evidenced where corporates were taking cash down. And then of course, what we realized is that created new challenges because corporates then had to place cash, and there may be a bit of a flight to quality in terms of moving cash. And anything else similar to that in terms of, understanding the cash flows, and then has that changed at all, or do you think we're just going to revert back to where we were, say, 6 months ago?
Yeah, I certainly don't think people will revert to where we were 6 months ago. I think especially in Europe compared to some other parts of the world, is only slowly recovering, and many people still expect to work from home, and there is a lot of impact on companies, loss of jobs. So I think it will take much longer for probably this part of the world to recover compared to other parts of the world. And I think on the cash flow forecasting side, companies will probably want to make sure they have a lot more cash that will be accessible at a short notice. So it's very key to ensure there's cash available as and when that's required. So the placement of that cash is key. People probably not going to put cash in products that may be tied for quite a long time. So maybe short-term deposit products like 30-day notice account or any other accounts that gives you the internet access will probably be more in demand. And with the cash flow forecasting tool that we have, it's very flexible. You can build in different scenarios as required to see what you need in your cash account to be able to deal with the potential requirement that may come out in the medium or long term.
I was thinking while Cindy was talking about self-service portals, and when we look at existing solutions provided by banks, there is still a lot of service that is managed manually, paper-based, and with disruptions. So the crisis has illustrated the value of self-service portals provided to clients, and certainly we'll see in coming future multiple investment in this area to enable clients being autonomous with their end-to-end liquidity management.
Yeah. I think you're right. So look, we're kind of running out, or have run out of time. And my appreciation, of course, to the three co-presenters for presenting on this panel. So thank you, Christophe. Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Cindy. Wednesdays with IGTB. Every Wednesday we have another topic, and next Wednesday we're looking more at cash flow forecasting and how these products can work. So please join us next Wednesday as well. But once again, thanks everybody for being with us, and wish you all well.